Hey, what's going on, friends? It's me, Jed, the Flying Spaghetti Auditor. Now, today I want to talk about something a little different than religion, separate from our normal talking points. I want to bring up a little bit of politics, specifically gun reform and gun rights. There's this argument that we need guns in order to protect our other rights, where somehow the ownership of guns is going to stop the government from taking away our rights. Here's a clip from Charlie Kirk where he uses this argument to advocate for gun rights.
But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Now, the purpose of this video is not meant to say, oh, I'm totally against guns, I think they should be banned. My thesis here is just that I'm responding to this one specific argument so often made by gun advocates, which is absolutely delusional. This argument makes no sense whatsoever. It's completely illogical. This notion that we can use a gun to prevent the government from taking away our rights. It's nonsense, and anyone who thinks this is out of their mind. So let's look at a real-world example. We used to have the right to abortion because of Roe v. Wade, and then the government took that right away. Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022, and then since then, one by one, the states have all been restricting, limiting, and terminating our right to bodily autonomy. So in theory, I should be able to use a gun in some way to get my rights to abortion back. So I should be able to take my gun and presumably use its only function, which is killing people and shooting people. I need to kill the right politicians and the right lawmakers, and then I'm suddenly and magically going to have the rights to abortion back. That's nonsense. Let's say I'm actually successful in shooting and assassinating a Supreme Court justice or every Supreme Court justice that was responsible for overturning Roe v. Wade. Let's say I succeeded. Does that automatically mean that we have the right to abortion again? No. And what's going to happen to me? The government's going to come after me full force. You think I can just get away with murdering Supreme Court justices and politicians? These cops are going to come after me, guns blazing. I get this, this visualization in my head that, imagine some guy with a MAGA hat on, sitting in the top bedroom window of a 3-story house with a sniper picking off cops as they drive up to his house one by one. I mean, anyone who's played Grand Theft Auto knows that once you have 5 stars, it's hard to continue. And in real life, those stars don't start to go down ever. So once you're wanted for killing a bunch of cops and politicians, you're going to have choppers hovering over your house. The militia, the cops, the feds are going to be kicking down your door, storming up your stairs, and mowing you down with machine guns. You don't stand a chance against the police. That's the thing. People think that, oh, I can just use my guns to protect myself. No, if the cops are trying to arrest you, it doesn't matter how many cops you kill, they will win every time. Maybe you could kill 10 cops, which I completely reject and denounce. I'm very much an advocate of peace and pacifism. I don't think anyone should be acting with violence. But these people, these gun advocates who think that they can use their guns to kill cops and then suddenly they're going to get their rights back, it's nonsense. It doesn't matter how many cops you kill. Roe v. Wade, that's not going to make the right to abortion come back. That's not how we do it. We get our rights back through civil means and not through violence. But maybe Charlie Kirk would say, oh, abortion doesn't count as a God-given right, so this argument doesn't apply to the right to abortion. Well, okay, let's take a look at another example. Let's talk about slavery, which absolutely is a God-given right. As I'm sure you know, the Bible, which presumably Charlie thinks is written by God, we know that he thinks that, advocates for, condones, and endorses the right to buy and own slaves. Leviticus 25, starting in verse 44, says, "You may buy slaves from the nations around you, keep them forever, pass them on to your children, and consider them your property." That's God himself speaking. And in Exodus 21, starting in verse 20, God says, "If you beat your slaves, male or female, there is absolutely no punishment for the master if the slave can recover within 2 days." And in Deuteronomy 20, starting in verse 10, God says, you can march up to any city you want, any tribe that surrounds you, and just give them a peace offering, become our slaves, or die. And if they choose death, then you just kill all of the men and take the women and children and force them to do unpaid labor against their will. So the Bible absolutely, resoundingly, and undeniably advocates for the ownership of slavery. This is the best example I can think of a God-given right. In 1865, the 13th Amendment passed, which abolished the right in America to own slaves. So who do I need to kill to get that law back into place? If I was a Christian and I thought it was my God-given right to own slaves, which if you're a Christian, you must accept this, then presumably you should think there's some number of cops, politicians, lawmakers, or judges that you can kill in order to get a slave. Or maybe you can use your gun to threaten the slaves and then kidnap them and put them in your house. Oh, the Bible says you can't kidnap people. Well, let's look at Deuteronomy 20. You threaten them with a gun and say, or a sword, same thing back in the old days. You need to be my slave or else I'm going to kill you. That's exactly what God advocates for in Deuteronomy 20. So should we be allowed to do the same thing now? Of course not. This is absolutely ridiculous. Anyone who thinks this strategy to getting rights back, preventing the government from taking your rights, they're out of their mind. It's not going to work. It's absolutely ridiculous. Here's what people don't understand, is that the cops will win every time. We are powerless to prevent the government from enforcing whatever rules they want to. The only power we have lies with trying to change the laws through peaceful means. That's the way the country was set up. The country was never designed for people to use guns to kill government employees to get their rights back. That's not how it works. So this notion that Charlie Kirk promotes, that our guns help us keep our rights or prevent the government from taking away our rights, is absolute nonsense. That's not how it works. That's not how it's ever worked.
So when it comes to firearms or guns, we must first ask the question of why. Why do we have a Second Amendment? The unpopular, to say, but morally correct reason we have a Second Amendment is so that free people can defend their rights given to them by God in case government becomes tyrannical. God forbid that ever happens.
The only time this argument might apply a little bit is if the country, the democracy completely collapses and that all civilians and the government become in a civil war against each other. And there's just people rioting in the streets. There's absolutely no law and order whatsoever. Just cops killing civilians, civilians killing cops, a 100% free-for-all. That's the only time where owning a gun might protect your life, but it's certainly not going to protect your rights, because rights are afforded to us by the government. So if the government wants to take away your rights, it doesn't matter how many people you kill. The government's still going to take away your rights, and it doesn't matter. If you want to protect your rights, you should vote, call your local politicians, call your leaders, call your lawmakers, go to city council meetings, get your voice heard. That's the way to do it. Civil discourse, not violence. Guns do not protect your rights. The only thing a gun might protect against is a home invasion. But if your house is invaded by cops, killing one is going to bring 10 more, and killing those 10 is going to bring 1,000 more. You will never win against the cops. The government has the power to put you in jail and take away all your rights. And if you start killing people from the government, they're going to do that. So if you want to protect your rights, don't go around shooting people. If you think that owning a gun and using it to kill cops and politicians is going to protect your rights, you are out of your goddamn mind. That's going to get you either killed or put in prison for life. Guns do not protect your other rights. That's the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. And anyone who believes this is completely delusional. This is the gun delusion, that guns protect your other rights.